What up, Internet? I am the PC Goblin. And today, we're going to be taking a look at the Monoprice AC1200 mesh router setup. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I got really curious about it as soon as I saw it, because Monoprice is known for making really cheap stuff. I mean, good, but really cheap. Like, my friend bought one of their monitors several years ago, and while the panel itself was nice, I believe it had a dead pixel, and then the case for it was very cheap. But overall, I mean, it did work, and it was probably worth about how much you paid for it. So I'm really curious about how this Wi-Fi setup actually compares and how it actually performs. So let's go ahead and unbox it and see what it's all about. So already not a whole lot to it. Here's one base station. 2 base stations, and 3. So that says it's a satellite, this says it's a satellite, this says it's the actual router, but they look freaking identical. Like, there's really not much to differentiate these other than the little label on the bottom saying satellite or router. And then we've got a box of, I'm assuming, accessories like power. User manual. May need that later. And then more boxes inside of boxes. So this one has 2 AC adapters. Well, this has only one and an Ethernet cable. I'm curious if this is a Monoprice Ethernet cable or if they bought it from somebody else. I guess it's Monoprice since it's included with Monoprice's stuff. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. Alright, so before we get to these, I want to read the specs of it. So the router has 1 gigabit WAN port, 1 gigabit LAN port, and then 100 megabit LAN port. And then extender ports, so the satellites have 2 gigabit LAN ports and 100 megabit LAN port. Supported WAN types are PPoE, dynamic IP, static, and WISP, so wireless ISP. Supported wireless standards are 802.11b, G, N, A, and AC, so all the way up to Wi-Fi 5, does not have Wi-Fi 6. And then the dimensions are 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches by 3.7 inches, or 90 by 90 by 95 millimeters, if that's your thing. Before I go and plug all these in, like I was saying, I really don't like wireless mesh systems, but as this has gigabit Ethernet ports on the back of it, I'm assuming you can plug an Ethernet port into it so you can hardwire it wherever your internet is coming into your house, so it doesn't have to use the wireless signal to broadcast the wireless. But I'm also curious if it takes the wireless signal and can push it out via wire. That would be interesting. I have to cut in real quick because while I was trying to set it up and show you guys the GUI and whatnot, I ran into some serious issues. So we're going to go ahead and skip the GUI setup, and we're just going to jump straight to my conclusion about this. So let's keep going. We're going to get real here for a second. So here's the extenders, here's the router. Now, I can't properly test these, so I can't tell you how good the mesh is on these. I can't tell you how fast they are. I can't tell you how they compare to anything else on their actual performance. But what I can tell you is I don't think anybody should buy these. Now, my reasoning for that is because it doesn't seem like the firmware on these are fully baked, because setting your Wi-Fi requires you to actually reboot this when it shouldn't. like actually go power cycle it for a minute and then bring it back online. And if you have somewhat of a complicated setup, like I do with CenturyLink, like I have to have PPOE, which this does, but then it doesn't do external VLAN tagging. CenturyLink is not a small ISP by any means, and what they do isn't unique to them by any means as well either. So if you buy these, you have to use CenturyLink's router to be able to have internet. But more or less, that's how I have my stuff set up, because I have my router. It's not CenturyLink, but it's set up so I can connect to the CenturyLink network. But then these have no way for me to set it up so that they're not trying to do their own routing and let me actually use my network to connect to the internet. So I don't see how you could actually use these if you had CenturyLink or CenturyLink fiber like I do. So while there are things that I would have really liked to have tested out, like they have, you know, the multiple LAN ports on the wireless extender, so I really wanted to see if I could use these to have a wired connection, so I could use the wired network, or use the mesh network to connect to my router, but then have a wired connection on my desktop or whatever else, so that I could actually have a hopefully better connection. And then along with their inability to be used with, you know, PPOE where you need the VLAN tag, I don't know why you'd buy these, because for the same price range you can get much better, much more advanced, but even more simple to set up than these are with, you know, Ubiquiti's Amplify and a few other wireless mesh systems that have really, really good ratings as well. So honestly, don't buy these, go buy something else. And Monoprice, fix these. These could have been okay, but there's no way to use them unless you have a completely normal, stupid setup. Like, that's not the case anymore. Most ISPs have their own routers that you have to use with their service, or they're renting stuff out that are, you know, already AC routers and stuff like that. So you've got to do more to make this stand out and actually be usable in those kind of situations, because a lot of the time this isn't going to be used as the router. But anyways, that's just my opinion. I wish I could have made this a little bit better so you guys could actually see it, but I still think it's worth something, because now you know if you can use it in your setup or not. But since that's all I can say about this at this point, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful, or at least enjoyable. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to see more of my stuff, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you next time, guys.